Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and the name of this show is Let's Live with Thurman Greco, and it's coming to you from scenic downtown Woodstock, Channel 23, and from YouTube. And we are in the midst now of the election season locally in Woodstock, New York, and we have a very special guest. So will you please introduce yourself?
Yes.
Tell us who you are and why you came.
Yes, so my name is Rebekah Brooks. I am running for town clerk here in Woodstock in this election, and this is my first time running for any elected office, and I'm learning a lot doing it, and having a good time, and really hoping to make an impact here with this office, and also to help people understand a little bit more about what the town clerk does, because I think it's a position that we don't hear a lot about, and I'm happy that this is an opportunity for people to learn what this important position is.
And what motivated you to run for this job?
Well, I had been volunteering on a town committee. I have been volunteering on the housing committee for a couple of years, helping with some of their efforts there, and getting involved and learning a little bit more about how our town board works and our town government works. And then our town clerk of 22 years, Jackie Early, retired in the fall, and there was a vacancy there, and a couple of people close to me said, hey, you should think about running for that. And I thought about it, and to be honest, I wasn't very familiar with the position, and I think I'm not alone in this, in that I didn't even realize it was an elected position. It's one of those that you probably would think is an appointed or hired position, but it is indeed an elected position. And so I started to look into what the role entails, what they do. I've been talking to some other town clerks in neighboring towns, learning about what they've been doing in the office, and have been really kind of loving everything that this position can do, and seeing how my skills can really help in this position and help the town.
And what have you done to get yourself elected?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of research. Like I mentioned, I actually have with me, there's a town clerk handbook, a manual that I'm reading, and I'm learning there. I mean, I've been reading the laws as far as what the town clerk is supposed to do. Like I mentioned, I've been talking with other town clerks who have been really kind of pushing the edge of what I think a clerk should and can do, and it's been actually really inspiring, and I'd love to talk a little bit about some of those experiences that I've learned about, and talking, really just listening to people in town about what do you think our town government could be doing better, and how could we improve, because this office is just such a central place. It's literally like the front door to the town government. It's the first person you see when you walk in the door. It's who you ask a question to. It's who you get, refers you to the right place. And so I've just been learning about, the opportunities for this office to, improve upon what it's been doing already in the town, and what people feel like, where the areas that our town government could improve and do better.
Do you go in that office now at all?
I do. I'm working on a few things with the town board and the supervisor's office as well. There's some projects that I've sort of volunteered to try to help with that is also sort of in the vein of what I think a town clerk would do. So that's one of the main things that I've been trying to do, really, which is to demonstrate, that I can be a good town clerk, is to try to sort of do the things that a clerk would do, and to show people that I can accomplish the things that I want to do in the office.
Now, is Jackie Early still there?
No, she retired in the fall. So.
And who is in that job now?
We now have an acting town clerk and another deputy town clerk in the position.
And they have been in the office before?
One of our deputy town clerk, Michelle, has been there for, I think, more than 15 years.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And now is she running for office?
She's not, no.
Are you the only one that's running for office?
No, the deputy, the first deputy town clerk is also running. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what are some things that you feel that you bring to this office?
Yeah, well, I have a wide range of experience from nonprofits to businesses, for-profits, to even government work as well. I've worked for the last 15 years in mission-driven work and in the private corporate world as well. And I've learned a lot of good practices there that I'd like to bring to the government, and a lot of kind of a wide range of experience working with technology and modernization, leading teams through changes, and some of the things that I would like to do in the office are modernization efforts and changing some processes to make the town work a little bit better and a little bit more efficiently. And I've also worked with teams to sort of usher them and shepherd them through changes, because you don't want to just introduce a new change and just say go for it. You've got to really bring people along with that. So those are some of the things that I've been trying to do and plan on doing.
And do you live in Woodstock?
I do live in Woodstock. Yeah. You have to be an elector of the town in order to run for the position. So I am a resident. Yeah.
And how long have you been living in Woodstock?
So I've been coming to Woodstock for the last 10 years with my husband, and his family has been in the area for the last 20 years. So I was very familiar with it. We actually, my husband and I met, we were living in Los Angeles for our careers. We met out there. The pandemic hit, and we realized that we wanted to come back to the East Coast, come back a little bit closer to family. I have family in Virginia. I grew up mostly in Virginia and on the East Coast. And so we decided to come back. So we came here to Woodstock to set down roots. And so we are here.
And so he's employed in the area as well.
Yeah. He's in the area. He is also a volunteer on a town committee as well. So we're both trying to get involved and offer our services where we can.
And when did you decide to run for this office?
It was like late last year, so I think November-ish when the vacancy happened and people started to sort of bring it to my attention. So yeah.
Did we expect Jackie Early to retire?
I don't think so. In fact, I wasn't at the meeting, but I watched it, and it was actually a kind of a surprise. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I know.
Well, Woodstock has been around for a long time, and one of the nice things that has happened for you, really, is that building has been upgraded within the last X number of years. Yeah. So because that was a real problem, for a long time, and that's been taken care of. And what are you gonna? What do you have any plans? What plans do you have?
I do. I have some plans, and they fit nicely into 3 categories. I like patterns, and I like categorizing things. So I like to say that the 3 things that I want to do is to connect, communicate, and modernize. So for connecting, I would like to connect our residents to town resources, benefits, events. I want to also basically make sure that our town residents understand what our government is doing and connect them to them. I want to better communicate what our town is doing to our residents, and the town clerk is in a unique position to do that because the clerk is the holder of all information and documents and records, and it sits at every town board meeting and takes the minutes, and so they are the keeper of that information, and so they are in a unique position to then disseminate that information in a way that's easy to understand and comprehend. And I think it's important because people need to know what their government is doing to stay engaged and to be able to have a voice in it. So communication is a big priority for me. And modernization. So really bringing our office to the modern age by offering, for example, the ability to pay your taxes and fees and bills and water and sewer bills online. Basically kind of see what we can digitize. We have a lot of records. I think we are in the process of digitizing them, and the more we digitize, the more accessible they'll be to people who could go online and search for them. And again, the more information that people have access to, I think the better and the more engaged they can be. So those are the sort of the 3 that the 3 categories of things that I'm trying to do, and that's some of my plans.
And Are you taking any special courses?
That's a good question. I am not taking any special courses. I am reading the town clerk manual, and that's just full of, the law. And of course, working in the government, you do everything by the law. That's your operations manual, that's your employee handbook, that's how you do your job. It's all in the law, so it's all there. So I've been, reading that and trying to get familiar with that. And again, just the more, I've been talking again with lots of other town clerks and kind of learning what they've been doing. But I think a lot of my experience in, communication and outreach has been very helpful and will be an asset in this role as well. My technical background of, I have a background in helping organizations and teams modernize their systems, come up with, more forward technology in their processes and helping teams go through those changes. I think a lot of that experience has sort of culminated in this role, which for me, I'm someone who I've done a lot of different things in my career. It's often been hard for me to summarize what I do. I feel like I have a lot of range and I love variety, and so this role is really special in how it can combine all of that experience in a way that will be helpful to the town. So I'm really happy that the experience that I already have has led to this, and I hope that I can serve the town in this role and use all of those skills that I have.
So how often do you go in the office now? What are some things that you're doing so that when you get elected and you show up on day one, it won't seem like you're asking, now where's the ladies' room?
Yeah, totally, yes. So, I mentioned I'm already on one town committee, and the housing committee. I've been there for a couple of years. So what I've been doing the last few months is I've been trying to go to all of the other committee meetings that we have, and we have a lot of committees, and this town really runs on volunteers. So I've been making it a point to go to at least one of every committee meeting and show up, listen to what they're working on, what are their needs, how can the town clerk better serve them, what could the supervisor and the town board do, really taking notes and understanding how they all work together, because we all, it's a tendency to work in a silo and just do what you do and stay in your lane. But really, if we want to get things done and done well, we need to work with each other and communicate with each other. So that's been a big thing that I've been doing, which is going to all of these committee meetings, and there's a lot. And some people may think that we have too many committees, but they really are each have their own really task of what they're trying to accomplish, and they're doing very important work.
And you are on some of those committees now.
I am a member of one committee currently, yeah.
What is that one?
It's the Woodstock Housing Committee. So
What is happening in the Woodstock Housing Committee?
Good question. So it was born out of the 2018 Comprehensive Plan, and if you haven't read the 2018 Comprehensive Plan, I highly recommend it. It's a really great document that digs into where Woodstock is and where it can go. And so one of the issues there was the issue of housing affordability, which we know is not just a problem here, it is a problem everywhere in this country. But we feel it very directly here. Of course, post-pandemic, we felt, we had an influx of residents coming up here from the city. We've seen real estate prices just skyrocket. It's very hard to pay your rent and mortgage here. So that is an issue that our town has prioritized trying to figure out. And so one of the things, the projects that we've been working on recently has been to take a step back, making housing affordable. You need some kind of financial incentives or something to make it affordable, right? And so in Woodstock, the land is pretty expensive, and so that's prohibitive to making something affordable. So to get around that, our committee has looked at land that is already owned by the town, so it's free. So that's something right there that we can get. So we inspected a list of tens of dozens of properties, and we narrowed them down to 5 properties. And we received money from a federal grant called the ARPA grant, the American Rescue Plan Act, which gave us funding to engage an engineering firm who would be able to inspect those sites and see if they were viable for building. So over the last almost 2 years, we've whittled down the list from 5 candidates to 3 candidates, and now we're trying to get it down to 2, where we'll actually get some very detailed analysis, some drawings and plans that we can then present and possibly move forward with. So we're hopeful that we might be able to find a place where we could actually build some more housing.
Wow.
Yeah. Right.
How many people are on the housing committee?
Good question. I think it's about 8 of us now. And I will say it's a really good group. We have a very active membership of people with just varying experiences. And it's been a real pleasure to put our brains together and to work on this. And that project I mentioned is just one of, we've been focusing on that a lot. But there are other things that we're going to start to direct our attention to, because there's just a lot of ways to solve this problem, and we need to be trying as many as we can.
Now, when you become the town clerk, are you going to stay on the housing committee?
I have to double check the rules. I may not be able to. Somebody has said that I may not be able to, so I have to confirm that. So it's possible I may have to resign from the housing committee, which I will be sad to do. But I hope to be helpful, in whatever way I can as the clerk to that committee and to the other committees as well.
So what do you think are some challenges that you face in your job? Walking in as a new person, what are some things that you're going to have to work on?
Yeah, well, I think the modernization piece may be one of the bigger ones. I think that there are definitely some systems that I'd like us to catch up on. So I mentioned, online payments, which is something that, I think many, if not most of our neighboring towns are able to do so far. And it's definitely within grasp. Like, there's no reason why we can't get there very soon. It'll make that whole process easier. It'll honestly save our staff time. There's just going to be less processing of paper checks and things like that. And think about, how many, people here who have second residences or may not be here full time, and, sending checks in is hard to do. And so I think that's going to be a big one to focus on. Also, I see our website as being that digital front door, and it is where the clerk can have all these digitized records available. So right now our website, I would say, is in an interim stage. We had to switch over from a website before. There was some issue because we had the .org as our website, but we're a government entity, so we had to become a .gov. So we switched over to that, had to do a quick change, and so now we have a website that functions, but it is under construction. So, and I know our town board is working on that as well right now, and it's a big priority, but that is one that I would really like the town clerk to be heavily involved in, if not managing the site herself, which I have experience managing websites as well, and I have the technical experience as well. But that is just such a prime place for us to organize all of the knowledge and documents and everything that we have, and just have it be a really good and searchable resource for anybody coming to the town, right? If you're not going to walk into the town clerk's office to ask them something, you should be able to go on our website and search for it and find it easily. So I think that will take time, and that is a big priority of mine.
Well, how many people are in the town clerk's office?
So right now, as the clerk, we have 2 people working in the clerk's office. So the state law actually dictates that you have our town clerk, and you need a first deputy who technically doesn't have to be paid. Some towns are small enough that you can do it all with one clerk, but you need to have that first deputy, which is someone who could step into the role, right?
Right.
So you may not need them to do anything, but you need a first deputy. But oftentimes you do have enough work where you need a second person. So the town clerk can have a first deputy, and then the town state law allows them to have 2 other deputy clerks. So all total, according to the state, you can have a town clerk and 3 deputy clerks max, apparently. And so at this point in time, I think at one point in time we may have had that, but we had a couple, in addition to Jackie retiring last fall, we had another deputy clerk as well who had retired, who had been there for a long time. So currently there are 2. So in Shandaken, for example, who is another town clerk I've spoken to, I believe they have their town clerk and 2 other clerks. So typically maybe see 2 to 3, depending on the size of the town and the amount of work to be done.
So that's something that you'll be working out once you get in there?
Yeah, sure. I would be responsible for managing the clerks there as well. Yeah, and having, potentially a first deputy and working with them in the office. So yeah, that would be something. I would
And
do.
now, when the town clerk is there, you have a lot of meetings in that building, don't you? It's a public building, really.
It is. I mean, you have a lot of people coming in. It's a busy office, right? So you're constantly answering calls, meeting people at the front, helping them out. So it definitely helps to have several people there in the office for sure. Yeah, you need people. And then you have, the other kind of larger projects that kind of need to get done, right? You have the day-to-day operations of running and making things happen, administering everything, and then you'll probably have, my goal when I get in there, so some of the larger kind of projects that maybe need to get done to sort of get things, a little bit more in order and to improve the office.
So, what are some goals that you might have for that office?
So I think, and this is one of the reasons why I'm getting into government and getting into public service, which is I want to help make government more accessible and understandable, because it's confusing, right? At a local, state, or federal level, it's very confusing, it's very complicated. Like I said, we work by the law. The law is not written in a way that is easily understandable in plain English. And so it's hard to follow along, and because of that, it's hard to stay engaged. And that's the dangerous thing, which is when you stop engaging, right? Because the people need to be engaged in their local government so that they can understand what's going on, so that they can vote, they can be knowledgeable enough to know what to vote for and what to keep their leaders accountable for. So one of my goals in general is to help make our government more transparent and easy to understand, help make sure our residents and townspeople, business owners, anyone that interacts with Woodstock, help them understand what's going on, right? This is the unique thing about working in government, is that you have to be totally transparent. You have people looking behind, from behind your shoulder, which you don't normally have when you work in another workplace or in an office. You don't have any member of the public saying, hey, what email are you writing there? Who are you sending it to? But in the government, you do, right?
Yeah.
Everything you write could be public record, right?
Yes, that's
so
true.
It's very interesting, and so that's there, and so I like making complex things easy to understand. I like to help. I like to teach and train, and so I see it as an opportunity to kind of explain what we are doing and communicate in a clear way what our town board and supervisor and departments are up to, because people have a lot of questions. Woodstockers are very engaged and they want to know what's going on. They want to have a voice. They want to be heard. And so I want to help get that information out there and make it easy to know what's going on. So that's a big one for me. And again, it's a personal motivation, because as a resident and an engaged person, I also I want to know what's going on. So now I'm hoping to turn that around and help other people understand and be more aware of what's going on in our government as well.
What about the new resident in Woodstock? We've had a lot of new residents here in the last few years. Is that continuing, or has that slowed down a little bit? Do you know?
That's a good question. It's, for me, I don't have a lot of data. Some of it is anecdotal, and in many ways, some people might see me as a newcomer, right? I've been here living, full time for the last 3 or so years, right? I have family that's been here, so I was familiar with it. But in a lot of ways, I'm sort of a newcomer in some ways, and I do think you see even some tension with, quote unquote newcomers or newer families coming in, and so there's definitely a shift, right? We have a population that is aging, and we have a population that may be coming in, right? And so there's lots of changes going on. There's different priorities from each of those groups, and that makes it challenging to enact policy that has everybody's interests at heart, because there's a lot of, there's a lot of disparity in some of these. But I think that's the challenge of our town board now, is to look ahead at the future and figure out the best policies that will help usher us into the future. And I know that it is hard to accept change, and people don't want Woodstock to change, and I totally understand that, but a lot of change is already happening to us, and we need to make sure that we're prepared to move forward in that, and that it's not just happening to us, that we can actually have a voice in the future and make sure that we're purposefully moving forward. So yeah, I mean, as far as I see, more young families like mine. I have a 4-year-old, so I'm seeing, more people in strollers and youngsters, and so I'm encouraged that we're getting more families to move here. So I do feel like there is some change there, but it's a little anecdotal for me. I know clearly, with our elementary school closing, there was declining enrollment, which we saw over the years. I'm hoping that turns around, and at least if it doesn't decline as much, at least we can start to see more families here. But I hope that Woodstock will be habitable and welcoming to new families for the kind of next generation.
Well, now, it used to be, before the pandemic, that Woodstock was the oldest population in Ulster County. We had the oldest what is that situation now?
That's a good question. I've also heard, was it like the median age is 65? So that's definitely, I think that trend is continuing. But again, I think we're seeing new, younger families come in. And one of the challenges, again, related to affordable housing is that we have a lot of generations now. They've got the next generations of Woodstockers that are being priced out, right? And unfortunately, they want to stay here, but they can't afford to live here. They've had to move away, and they want to move back. And I would also love to see that happening, because I love to see that the generations of Woodstockers that have been here and hold that history and heritage and want to share that. So that is another goal, I think, of affordable housing here, is to help us keep our Woodstockers able to live here generation after generation.
My question is, and I don't even know if this falls in your purview or not, or your interest, is, everybody wants to have a place to live, but the prices are not going down. So how are they going to move back? If they moved out because they couldn't stay, how are they going to move back in?
Yeah, the market rate is not going down, that's for sure. So that's why, we're looking at potentially, there are lots of ways. Building new development is one way. There are other ways potentially that wouldn't include new development. There are ways of sort of infilling, adding ADUs, which are, kind of smaller residences on existing property. But, essentially, having, developers come in, for example, Repco, to build something that will, be, by law, under market rate, and that is one way of doing it, for sure.
I know that in when I first moved here, which was 25 years or so ago, right off the bat, I realized that if you need to have a job, Woodstock is not the place to come. It really is not. There are no jobs, and the people that were working here, when you would talk to them, they would be working on and off. And of course, I don't know if that has changed at all, or if that has anything to do with your job at all. Probably not.
Probably not. And an interesting thing about town clerk is, I don't make any policy, right? So I'm supporting and doing operations, but the town board definitely is making policies on that. But I would say, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Your question was
what happened to these people that are working half on and half off, which is, illegal. What can I say,
Yeah.
And where are you going to live if you're earning half on and half off? And then where are the people that used to live here and worked for the fire department? What's happened to our fire department?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know, and I know we need people to live here to volunteer, right? Because a lot of those are volunteer, right?
Not a lot, but they are.
Yeah.
And if you're living here on the weekend, or if you've bought a building and you're hoping to survive through Airbnbs, then how can you how can you get a fireman when you only come in on Saturday and Sunday?
Right. I know that there are policies, I don't know, I think Woodstock may have enacted one. So basically, incentives or tax incentives to help, volunteer firefighters and things like that. There are programs like that. But you are right. And in fact, I am a remote worker. And part of the reason I can afford to live here is that I am able to work, for a company that probably gives me a salary that is above what I could make working in Woodstock. And there are limited opportunities for working in Woodstock. We have a service industry, and even that is, very seasonal, right? We do rely on tourists as much as we may not want to, and as hard as that is to coexist with tourists in the busiest times of the summer, they definitely drive the economy. And so we have a lot of people working to serve that as well, and that's a big one. But I think you're right, and I think that figuring out how to get more jobs and more employment here is a great way to tackle that affordability crisis. Yes, exactly. And while I wouldn't really be able to do that in the clerk's office, I would be happy to support the town board in any way.
But in the clerk's office, don't you get a lot of questions about that? Don't people wander in off the street and ask things, or not?
I mean, I would imagine. I don't work in the clerk's office now, but I definitely think people come in and ask questions, and that's where the clerk is that connector. They can direct you to the right person, right? For one example, some of the people I've talked to have asked me about short-term rentals, right? Everything about it, like how does that process work, and what are the policies, and if there's some lack of clarity there. And I think that there are processes like that our town government does that the clerk's office may not have any domain over, but I think the clerk could help by making those processes more clear and easy to understand, and getting that information to people. So I do see the clerk as demystifying a lot of these confusing parts of our government and our town and how it operates. So I think that the clerk could be helpful in that way.
Yeah, I think a lot of people show up there
Yeah.
in that building with a list of questions, and
Right.
they've got somebody with a smiling face
Yeah.
that they expect to know all the answers to.
And it's important to be, well connected. I think the clerk really needs to kind of know everybody in town, right? I think that's an
Yes.
asset. And personally, what I've been doing as well is trying to meet as many people as possible. And that's been a wonderful part of this process, is just meeting all of the people that make this town run, and just thinking about who I can connect and what resources can be shared. So absolutely, I think that is a great thing that a clerk's office can do. And they've definitely already been doing it. They're great at that.
They are.
Yeah.
Now, if you said you're on the housing committee.
I'm on the housing committee, yeah.
Does the housing committee have anything to do with Airbnbs? With the short-term rentals,
Right.
is that what they're called?
Short-term rentals, yeah, STRs, Airbnbs, yeah. They had, I think, weighed in on some policy before I joined. There was like a short-term rental task force. I think we had some housing committee members on that advised on some short-term rental policies. And that task force is now no longer active, but I know that there are definitely still questions out there, and possibly there could be more to that. And I think the housing committee would definitely be a good body to help with that again. So, yeah.
So that's something that when you get elected, you're going to have to leave, right? So there's going to be a vacancy there in the housing department.
Potentially, yeah. But I hope we can get more members interested in joining this committee, and really any other committees. And I've been, like I mentioned, going around to all the other committee members, and it's been really great to kind of see how active they are. But I do see, the need to get, more people on there, younger people on there, people that are ready to kind of step up. And to take the torch, from that generation and step up and lead. So I'm hoping that, honestly, like through this process, I would like to encourage others to get involved in various ways, whether it is just to vote, or it is to volunteer on a committee, or whether it's to run for office. I would love to be a resource to anyone who wants to do that. And
If someone wants to get active, are there any committees at the current time that have openings?
Good question. Recently, I believe our planning board was looking for people to join it, and that is definitely an important body. And in fact, it's unique. So committees are, they're town committees. but they don't have any decision-making authority. We are advisory, so we meet and we work on things, and then we make recommendations to the town board for policy. But there are a few entities that actually do have decision-making authority. The planning board is one of them. The zoning board of appeals is another, and then of course the town board is that body as well. So it's an important board. And I believe recently they were looking for some volunteers. And I think that's actually something that our committees could use help with, is when they are looking for volunteers, how do they broadcast that? How do they get the word out? And I think the clerk could help that. I mean, the clerk is responsible for putting up public notices and broadcasting public community meetings and public hearings and all of that. And so I'd like to see the clerk's office be even more active about posting openings for volunteer committee positions, job positions, etc. So I think that's a great thing that the clerk can help with.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are going on, and that particular building that the town clerk works in seems to be the hub, really.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know that the town clerk is specifically involved, but just that building is the hub, actually.
Sure, yeah.
What do you see as your biggest challenges?
Well, I think the change is the biggest challenge. We had a clerk here for 22 years that was beloved, and whoever it is next, whether it's me or the other person I mentioned who is in the deputy clerk right now, it's a change. It's going to be different, and I
The deputy clerk is leaving also now?
No, the other person running is the deputy clerk, one of the two deputy clerks in the office. So whoever it is, it's going to be a new face, right? Yeah, and new things and new initiatives, and I think that, again, I don't want to scare anyone with the word change, but my goal is to help improve the offices and the way we run, offer all the same services, and just do it even better, right? And so I think that will probably be a challenge of getting that trust from people, right? And getting to know everyone in there and making sure they know that they can come to the office even though it might be a different face. So yeah, that might be a big one. And I've in my career I've worked in change management, which is actually the structured process of bringing people and groups through a change. And so there's a lot of steps to that, and I hope to, in any of the initiatives that I do in the clerk's office, I hope to help any of those that will be affected by it, whether it's the staff or the residents. I hope to help usher them through that and adapt to whatever new initiatives might happen.
And now you have a child.
I do.
And so she's going to school here.
He is, yeah. He's 4, and he is in pre-K or sort of nursery school right now here, here in town. So yeah.
And so close enough for you to drop off on the way to work.
Yeah, right there. Exactly. Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah, it is nice. I mean, it's like I said, I work remotely. I used to work in an office, and so, but working right down the road in the Como offices is not too bad either. It's a beautiful area. Take a lunch break, take a walk on the trail. It's gorgeous. So.
Have you been going to the Complete Streets meetings?
Good question. I've been trying to keep up with it, and in fact, I was involved. One of the things I want to do is to help get that information out there. So when they announced that they were going to have that community meeting in March in the community center, I wanted to help get the word out. So I was knocking on doors to get petitions to get on the ballot, and at the same time I was telling businesses you should also be aware of this, because you're going to learn a lot about this upcoming infrastructure project and how it may affect your business, and you'll be able to learn about it and ask questions. So it was really part of what I would want to do as the clerk anyway. I might not be able to knock on everyone's door as the town clerk, but I could maybe send out flyers to people that are affected by it, or just make sure we're connected to, say, businesses, right? Maybe we can blast an email out to businesses on a
Do
list.
you know if that street widening is going to happen?
So what I know is going to happen, just to step back. So I helped with that event because I wanted to make sure that it was well attended and recorded and broadcast. And I actually was able to work with Ellen and Fanny at the public access station to record that, which was great. And so it's sort of helping a little bit with the event and the logistics of it. I also have a background in doing events and concerts and live events as well. So that was fun to do that. So yeah, I was helping with that event, and unfortunately I was working the event, so I wasn't able to listen to everything, but I've been trying to catch up. And what I do know about it, and in fact people should I think check out our YouTube page. I think we've posted the video of that presentation on the town YouTube page. But there are two parts to it. There is one that is going to improve sidewalks and bridges from Rock City Road to the Woodstock Post Office. That has been decided on, funded by state funding, and I think the work is supposed to begin next year in 2027. There is another project that Complete Streets was working on and proposing, which was a shared path from the Woodstock Post Office to the Bearsville Post Office, right? And that is the one that is, I think, maybe less certain and is not completely planned, but that's the one that there's a lot of interest in as far as like how it will be done and where it will go and some of the trade-offs that are involved in that. So that one I think is a little more to be determined, but that first one that's going to improve our sidewalks and bridges, that apparently is set to go. So again, for anyone who wants to learn more, check out the Woodstock Town YouTube page. You'll be able to watch a presentation by one of the engineers that's working on it, and the DOT as well. So I think everyone should definitely be aware of that, keep reading the news and listening for it at town board meetings, because it's definitely going to be a big one this year. Infrastructure changes are always a big deal, right? We see road closures and everything like that, and so it's always good to be aware of what's happening and to know when and where things are going to happen.
Well, yes, and we need our sidewalks so desperately.
Sure.
I know I live on Tannery Brook, and there are tourists going past my house on the street every day.
Yeah.
And occasionally one of them will see me and say, "There's no sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
There's no sidewalks." And I say, "Well, I just live here. I don't know anything about the sidewalks." And then there are some tourists that will walk down the middle of Tannery Brook.
Mm.
And then here comes the pickup that's going as fast as it can. And it's an interesting thing. It's never a dull moment.
Right. It is exciting, but you really don't want your walk down the street to be that thrilling, right? So yeah.
Well, it's I guess the message of that one is just don't walk down that street because it's not safe, but people have to learn it as they come to Woodstock.
Yeah.
And we would all love to have sidewalks.
Yeah, I think having accessible walkways is important, and it's we have an aging population and it's important for them, but it's important for others. Having had a child and rolling a stroller around, I understand and I can empathize that having good walkways that you can walk on and ramps and things like that are very important. So I think everyone stands to win from better sidewalks there.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
It's an important thing to bring Woodstock into the later 20th century.
Yeah.
So it's nice,
Yeah, and there's not without trade-offs. I know when even something that seems as ubiquitous and great as sidewalks will bring other trade-offs as well. But I think we have to sort of weigh all of the pros and cons and kind of figure out what's going to be the greater good for us in the future. So. Yeah, no decision, even one like an infrastructure project like that, is going to be easy, cut and dry, and 100% of the people support it, right? You're always going to have people that are going to, maybe have some issues with it, but I'm hoping that, something like that, at least the sidewalk part of it, will be helpful and well welcomed from residents and everyone who lives here, but,
And as the town clerk, you're going to be taking the minutes at all the meetings.
Yes, yeah.
That's something that people don't think about.
Right, yeah, you are the keeper of the records, and you attend every town board meeting meeting, the clerk is right there, sitting at the table, taking the notes, and then getting those, published afterwards, and receiving all of the documents. So yeah, you are the keeper of the records and everything. So yeah.
That in itself is a huge task.
Yeah, you are the witness to
Yeah.
what goes on. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
That is a big deal. And then there's all this other job. So the town clerk is really a very important position.
It is, yeah, and I'm glad there's a lot of attention on it this year. I'm glad that we have more than one person running. I think that's great, and I think that gives people a choice, and when you have a choice, you have to do your research, and when you do your research, you learn about this position, and you start to appreciate how important it is, and so I hope that it does that for everyone here, and I think it's exciting, and I guess I wouldn't have thought that you would hear town clerk and exciting in the same sentence, but I think we will this year. I think it'll be really interesting and really great for the town, no matter what happens, to have attention on this important office.
The town clerk has the thumb on everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Knows I think, it's
So it's not just a smile to somebody walking in the office. It's the person has got to know everything.
For sure. Yeah, you have to be connected to everything, have an awareness of everything, be able to problem solve, be able to communicate well back with that person, and help them to solve their issue. It's definitely it's a service role. You are performing a service for the people. Yeah. There's a lot to it. Yeah.
And people in a little town expect the town clerk to know everything.
Yeah. And I'm up for the challenge. I like to know everything. I love to dig in and get to know something, and it's what I've been doing in this whole process. Like I said, is meeting everyone, learning as much as I can about how the town works, going to every meeting that I can, doing my research, talking with other clerks about what they've done. So it's definitely that's something my brain loves. Can I learn everything about this, and then can I get that information back out? So I love that. It keeps my brain alive, and that's definitely a part of it that I like, and I'd like to step up and do that.
Let me ask you something. When will the vote take place for your position?
Yeah, so as with most things in Woodstock, a lot is decided in the Democratic primary. So we're primarily a Democrat town. So right now we have a few offices that have elections for the Democratic primary. That is happening on June 23rd. There is early voting from, I believe it's June 13 to 21. So there's opportunities to vote up until then, and then on the primary election day is June 23rd. So
Okay, so that will determine whether or not you become the town clerk on June 23rd?
Well, who knows? I mean, that will determine who the Democratic candidate is, and then we will have a general election. And it's always possible. You could have other candidates from other parties. You could have an independent. You could have a Republican. You never know what's going to happen.
And when is the general election?
In November, I think.
In November.
November 3rd.
So you are running for this position now.
Yes.
Until June the 23rd. And then June the 23rd, you will be running against another candidate if there is one.
Well, whoever wins on June 23rd in the Democratic primary will be the Democratic candidate. And it is possible that there won't be any other.
Right.
So, yes. And we've seen that in other elections.
Because it is significantly, has been
Yeah.
significantly Democratic.
Yes. So a lot, for better or worse, a lot in Woodstock politics is decided in the Democratic primary.
Right.
Yes.
So, but you do have two dates.
Yes.
You have June 23rd, and then you have...
November 3rd.
Okay. So what are some things that a voter can do to get to know you between now and then?
Oh, good question. Yeah. Between now, if you're a registered Democrat in Woodstock, and you will vote in the primary in June, you can get to know me a few different ways. So I have a website that I created that really lays out my plans, my ideas, and my experience. The website is brooks4clerk.com. So it's my last name, Brooks. Clerk.com. That's probably the number one place you'll want to go to learn about me. I've also, I have a social media page. It's a Facebook. It's facebook.com/Brooks4Clerk. And I'm posting things there as well as they happen, ideas, things that I would maybe do as clerk that are, broadcasting news and updates that the town is doing, trying to get the word out on things, various things that I'll do on that as well. I have also recently started a blog, so that's on Substack as well. You can get that link on my website or on Facebook as well. And I hope to, get out there. I knocked on doors to get people to sign my petition to get on the ballot. I hope to continue to knock on doors. Woodstockers are very friendly, and it's been a positive experience so far, so I'll keep doing it. And that's been a really nice opportunity to just get to know someone, have a conversation. Some people are more, involved or have more questions than others, and I'm always happy to have a conversation with someone about this position, and if they have any ideas for it or suggestions or what they'd like to see come out of this office, and just hear their thoughts.
Okay. When I was in the Woodstock Democratic Committee, I used to go, my beat was Bearsville Flats, and I loved it.
Yeah.
When it was time to go get the petition signed, I was right there.
That's awesome.
I'd love to go see the people.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to meet you
Yeah.
between now and then, where are they going to find you?
I have to schedule some things, honestly. That's next on my list to do, because I do want to sort of get out there and make it easy for people to get to know me. So I'm hoping to pick some dates and places where I will be and maybe host something here or there. I may do some smaller meet and greets, invites and things like that, but I would like to do something a little bit more public and out there. So I don't have any of that planned right now, but hopefully very soon. And when I do, I will definitely put that
I certainly hope so.
on my website. I'll make it very clear.
That's very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. I definitely want to do that. I really enjoy, the knocking on doors part. I thought I was a little afraid of it, because in some ways I can be kind of shy, and I don't like to promote myself, and so it just kind of felt uncomfortable. But actually, when I did it, it actually was a really great and really positive experience, and the vast majority of people were just more than happy to have a conversation or talk or listen, and so that was great. So I do hope to plan a couple of more public opportunities for people to meet me.
That's important.
I will post that on those
Now,
channels.
do you know if you're going to plan them before June, or are you going to stick to between June and November?
Well, I think it should be before June, because if I don't make it past June, I'm out.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
So,
right.
it's good,
And
yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to get out there.
This
and
is
get people to
this is the week.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Okay.
It's not a long time, but I think this is the time to be
And
engaged.
so
yeah.
if somebody wants to contact you, where are they going to find you?
Yeah, you can, on my website, you can look in the menu, it says contact, so there's a form. You can actually send me a message and include your contact information if you want to reach out. I also have an email address. It is brooks4clerk2026@gmail.com. So brooks4clerk2026@gmail.com. You're welcome to reach out to me there. I've gotten a few messages here and there. I try to respond to everybody, so please, if you have a question or an idea, please reach out in any one of those ways. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, give me your ideas.
So we're getting kind of close here. What is a final message? What is a final message?
What is the final message? Well, I hope, again, that this race brings attention to this office. I hope that people have the opportunity to do their research, not only about the candidates, but about the role of town clerk itself, and
I hope this race brings attention to the office too,
Yeah.
because this community has been relying on Jackie Early forever.
Sure. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute,
I know.
this is not Jackie.
I know.
What is this?
I know.
So what does she do? Really?
I mean, when things run, you don't, if it runs well, you don't,
Right. And so it's up to you to define what it is that you plan to do and what your priorities are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so it's time definitely to do that.
Yeah, there's not only, getting myself out there, but educating, everyone on what this role even does.
Right.
So that you know how to make the best decision for the town as the voter. So
And what you expect the people in your office to do. And so it's a big deal.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You know,
yeah.
this is for a little town, and I don't know. Do you have any idea what the population of this town is?
Well, I can tell you the number of voters is around, I think, 4,000. I think we've got 3,000 something Democrat voters, and then the rest are, other Republican or independent. So that's the sort of universe that we're looking at as far as voters go.
Yeah.
But then, around 6,000 depending on, full-time, part-time residents, I think.
One of the things that impressed me about Woodstock, and we got to quit talking because it's time to go, but is that a community of this size offers a person an opportunity to do all kinds of things. Because when you get, 500,000 or even 50,000 or whatever, you lose the personal.
Yep.
And Woodstock is still personal.
Yes. Yep.
So that makes it very, very important. And you have 3 minutes left. Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience?
Yeah, well, I'll build off of that. You're totally right. It is a small town, and everybody knows everybody. And when people say local politics, it's different to me than like national politics, because it is so personal. It is about relationships. We are real people. You don't have this like archetype who is this evil, bad candidate and the good candidate, and the kinds of things that you see on TV on state and federal elections. It's more human than that. We're all living together. We're all neighbors. We all have to get along and work together. So it's very different, and I like that, and that's why I've been enjoying getting involved in local politics, and I hope other people will too. I hope that people will feel that they can enter this realm of local government and local politics and understand it, because honestly I think people like me maybe see what's going on in the global national scale and you feel powerless. Like, what can I do? I just vote. What else can I do? But I really see the local scene as where actions really affect people, and that's where you can have an impact. So I hope that people will continue to look locally for where we can make changes and impact that help each other.
I think so too. I really see this as an opportunity. I think Woodstock is the perfect community. It's got a lot of confusion going on, and of course with the schools and streets and things, there's challenges, but it's still a very good size.
It's got a lot of heart. A lot of people care here. So
yes, they do, and people have lived here forever. And I've been here like 25 years, and I'm still not a Woodstocker. I mean, I'm still, so, you got a long way to go. It's a good thing you don't have any gray hair, because you have a chance. You have a chance. Well, I want to thank you so much. And thank you so much, Ellen. And I'm hoping that fellow Democrats who are interested in the election and who are running for office will join us at this table between now and November.